When you build an AI agent, you're not just writing some code. Think of it more like you're hiring a new digital employee. And just like any new hire, it's going to need a super clear job description, a clean workspace, and all the right tools to actually succeed. So today, we're breaking down the blueprint to create agents that are not just smart, but truly effective and, well, reliable.
So that brings us to the core challenge, right? How do you take some messy, complicated business process and, somehow turn it into a simple, accurate task that an AI can nail every single time? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack here.
Our blueprint has 5 key steps. First, we'll talk about crafting the agent's mission. Then, we'll dive into designing its digital workspace. After that, we'll get into setting its rules and permissions, then validating its performance, and finally, we'll cover how to avoid the common traps and measure what success really looks like.
Okay, first things first, the mission. Everything starts here. Before you even think about the tech stuff, you absolutely need a crystal clear goal. And look, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. It's the foundation for everything that comes next. This slide just nails the point. On the one hand, you have get overdue invoices for customers with large credit limits. I mean, what does large even mean to an AI? It's subjective. But look at the other side. Generate a summary report of overdue invoices for customers with credit limits over $10,000. See? It's concrete, it's measurable, the agent knows exactly what data to get, the precise threshold, and what the final output should be. Getting to this level of clarity is totally non-negotiable.
So, once the agent has its mission, it needs a place to work. And honestly, it's just like us. A cluttered, confusing desk leads to mistakes. For an AI, that workspace is the user interface it has to navigate.
This right here is the golden rule of designing for an agent. Just think about it for a second. Every single button, every field, every menu you leave on the screen, that's another choice the agent has to think about. When you simplify the interface, you're not just making it look nice and tidy, you are fundamentally reducing the chance it's going to make a mistake.
Let's put it really plainly. The more stuff you remove from the UI, the smaller let's call it the decision space for the agent. You're basically creating this super focused environment where the right path becomes the most obvious path, maybe even the only path. Every extra little thing you leave on there is just another potential way for it to fail. And hey, this isn't just about getting it right, it's also about efficiency. Every single action an agent takes, every click, every screen change, it all uses up computing power. A nice, streamlined workflow with fewer steps isn't just faster, it is literally cheaper to run. So in this case, efficiency and accuracy go hand in hand.
So, how do you actually do this? Well, first, hide every single UI element that is not essential for the task. Just get it out of there. Second, make sure your tooltips are really clear and descriptive, because believe it or not, the agent reads them to figure out what to do. And finally, if there's a common task, don't make the agent click through a maze to get there. Give it a direct shortcut. The goal is to make its job as simple as possible.
All right, step 3 is all about rules and permissions. Now, this isn't just a security thing. It's actually a really powerful way to keep the agent focused. By limiting what your agent can see and do, you're basically reinforcing that simple, clean workspace we were just talking about.
This brings us to a core concept in security called the least privilege principle. And it is so important for AI agents. It's simple. You give your digital employee the keys only to the rooms it absolutely needs to do its job. Nothing more, nothing less. This one idea prevents both massive security headaches and really costly mistakes.
In practice, this means building a custom profile just for that agent, one that only shows the pages and actions it actually needs. And this is not a one-and-done kind of thing. You should be going back and regularly reviewing these permissions to make sure the agent doesn't have access to things it, no longer needs. So, you've defined the mission, you've built the workspace, and you've set the rules. That's awesome. But you can't just cross your fingers and assume it all works. The next phase is so critical. You have to rigorously test your agent to make sure it's both accurate and reliable. Okay, this is a really important thing to get your head around. Agents are non-deterministic. All that means is that if you give it the same input, it might not always produce the exact same output or take the exact same steps to get there. Because of that, variability, one successful test just isn't enough. Consistent, repeated testing is the only way you can really be confident that your agent is going to do what you expect it to do out in the real world. A good testing plan has to be systematic. You have to throw everything you can at it.
different kinds of data, weird edge cases, even common typos that people make. You have to check that the final answer is right, of course, but you also have to make sure the agent can handle errors gracefully and recover without just getting stuck.
And if you really want to make your agent robust, you can bring in some more advanced techniques. Get actual users to run it through real-world situations. And red teaming, this is fantastic. It's basically where you actively try to break it. You try to trick it. Ask it for data it shouldn't have. Try to get it to do things it's not allowed to do. It's kind of like being an ethical hacker for your own AI.
All right, we are in the home stretch now. Let's wrap up by talking about what usually goes wrong, and then how we can know for sure if our agent is actually a success.
This chart tells you almost everything you need to know. Just look at that. A whopping 40% of problems don't come from some complex code or permissions issues. They come from the instructions themselves. That very first step we took, defining the mission, that's the #1 place where things go wrong. It always comes back to clarity.
And here's why. Things like vague instructions, conflicting goals, missing bits of context, or just ambiguous words. All of that is basically poison to an AI agent. It can't guess what you mean. The instructions have to be direct, simple, and totally unambiguous.
So, once we've navigated all these common pitfalls, how do we really know if we've succeeded? We can't just go on a gut feeling. We need cold, hard data.
And here are the metrics that really matter. You need to be asking questions like, how often does it actually complete its task? How accurate are the results? Are the human users actually happy with it? And how often does it get confused or make an error? Tracking these KPIs will give you the real story on how your agent is performing.
And at the end of the day, this is really the key takeaway. An AI agent, it's not magic. Its performance is a direct reflection of the environment that we build for it, the clarity of its mission, the simplicity of its workspace, and the thoroughness of our testing. The power to create a successful agent is completely in our hands. So the only question left is, what world will you build?